Hey, what's good, Walking Dead fans? This is the Campfire Crew, and we're here to talk about Walking Dead episode 12. We're going to cover some of our favorite moments. We've got 6 favorite moments coming up. I'm Campfire Rich.
I'm Campfire Nate, and my first moment was literally the speech that Rick gave. I couldn't help from feeling like it felt very much like the same speech that the governor made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they alluded this in the show itself later on, but doesn't it feel kind of weird how they're like, we need to go kill these people. We got to go do this. And it comes off kind of like, you're starting to wonder, are we rooting for, are our guys just different types of bad guys? Or are we rooting for, what are we going for here?
It definitely seemed weird. I have to be honest. Like throughout most of this episode, normally when Rick gives a speech and they're rallied up, like you feel kind of amped. Like you feel kind of pumped up. I never felt that way during this. I always had like reserves. Like again, like you said, man, this is awful. Like the governor, and you had mentioned that Tara in the show even said, "I've done this before." I didn't put it together at the time, but she come from the governor's group, and this is the same thing that the governor did, just going out after people they don't know, they've never met. And I'm normally against Morgan, but his comment, like he was like, "Can we take him out? Let's at least give him an option." Mm-hmm. And I thought that would have been the proper way to do it. But, I don't know. It just, it didn't seem right. Moving on to favorite moment number 2. And that is Carol has reserves. And this was like something we didn't see. Like, I almost felt like she was a serial killer at the beginning of this episode. With the music playing in the background. She's baking cookies. She's smiling. But on the inside, she's really killed a lot of people. But, she has her man. Apparently, which is new. She's into this guy, but she's writing down her numbers of the people she's killed, and I think that plays a big factor later on in this episode with her mindset, getting crossed up.
Yeah, no, she's something's not right. Like, I mean, you figure after all that she's done, I mean, she's had to do a lot of stuff. She's stone cold. Now all of a sudden, those emotions starting to come back. It's starting to come back now that they're safe. Everything's safe. They're feeling safer. Like, okay, let's start kind of thinking about what's going on. She's baking cookies. She's trying to be nice. She's giving some to Tobin. Obviously, there's a little love interest going on there with Tobin and her, and it might have just been in that moment where she was just needing someone who knows. I mean, they haven't alluded to anything prior to this episode. She's leaving cookies on a dead kid's grave. She's got to feel sort of responsible for that. I mean, because dude, she freaked that kid out.
Yeah,
we all know that. We saw that. So she had that kid freaked out. I mean, She's writing a list of all the people that's died. I mean, she's definitely struggling, and it does. I think it does end up affecting her throughout this entire episode, which probably ultimately leaves her in the situation that it does, what we're going to talk about later. But my next favorite moment is Abraham, the master breakup artist. Okay, I mean, this guy just lays it out there. I mean, just plain and simple. She says, why? He drops another, why is Dingleberry's brown? I mean, just drops another one of those Abraham one-liners. Basically says, hey, we were together. I thought you were the last woman on earth, and you're not. I mean, dude, that's cold. That's as cold as it gets, right?
I mean,
dropped her.
That's the most effective breakup in world history I believe I've ever seen. And you know what? You can't even really be mad at him. It's like sometimes you see the guys being like this douche for breaking up and how cold he is. And that's just the truth. Like, how can you not respect somebody that just gives the truth? It's like, I mean, literally, I thought you was it. Turns out, there's somebody else out there. I mean, like, ain't no trailing along, ain't no games being played, just boom, out. So, I don't know. Of course, it was Abraham, classic Abraham. Moving on to favorite moment number 4, Rick punches a zombie head. And I was like, man, and he didn't punch it one time. Like, he kind of went like, boxing style. Like it was one of those heads on a thing where you just kind of like, he just wore that freaking head out. And those guys are looking at him like, Negan's group, scares me, but they ain't got nothing on you. And Rick's just kind of like, whatever, man. His nose is broke.
Yeah, no, it was kind of funny because Rick literally just, he just, whatever, boom, 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 punch up the zombie. And the most important thing out of that was the fact that the guy was just like, dude. Like, again, they're just alluding to the fact that, hey, a different side of the coin. Okay, that's how they're laying this out there. Rick and his group is just a different side of the coin compared to Negan's crew, which is interesting because in the comics, you don't feel that way. Not necessarily as much as the show's making it feel that way. You really start to feel like in the show that our group are making some bad choices, and you're kind of like, man, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna come back and bite them in the butt.
Right.
In the comics, it felt like everything happened. It was just like you can't. I mean, you couldn't control it. As bad things happen, you roll with the punches.
Yeah.
But on to my next moment, which I said, I mean, just straight up call it number 5, which was Walking Dead Black Ops. I mean, just sneaking in. I mean, just cutting throats, stabbing people in the head. I mean, that whole scene in itself, we could talk about it for 15 minutes. Easily. There were huge moments in that scene. I mean, they went in, they took these dudes out, real classic. Poor freaking, you had Heath and you had Glenn having these moments where they were having a hard time. Both of them had never had to kill a person. Glenn finally pops his cherry, kills a dude, and Heath is over there just struggling, just can't control himself. And Glenn steps in and does it. An interesting moment. In that moment,
hold on a second. I think Glenn had killed people before.
No, he hadn't. That was the first time he had killed a person.
So he never killed anybody in the prison while he was getting in a shootout? Like, he never had to shoot his way out, like when the governor attacked?
No, he had never actually killed a person.
Okay.
That was his first person.
Okay.
Other than,
God
that's
dang.
What was,
he did get lucky.
Kind of,
I know he said he got lucky. All right.
It was kind of a significant thing for him to do that. So it was kind of interesting. Another interesting thing for comic book fans, did you notice the pictures on the wall of all the dudes with their heads smashed in? Just saying. Not going to say anything else. Just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot in that. What else did you have to say?
I thought they did a really good job of like making you feel like this was really tough. This goes back to the beginning, like, man, I'm not sure if this group should be doing this. And then even Rick gave pause for a second, but they went in while people were sleeping. People they didn't know, even as an audience, we didn't know how bad, still don't know how bad these people were, right? We know we got bad people in every group, but they just went and just stuck their knives in people's head while they was asleep. And I was like, man, that is just vicious. Abraham looked right at home, had the little, do-rag thing going on and had his gun like he was ready. And then the guy pulls the alarm and it's all about to hit the fan. Well, that whole scene was awesome. That was a lot of gunfire. The whole scene was real seeming. Like, it was cool.
Well, everybody had like interesting moments. I mean, that was the thing. Like every person had their own moment. I mean, Abraham had a moment. Aaron had a moment. Freaking Tara had a moment. Even freaking Father
Gabriel
had a moment.
He went
Gabriel
Pulp Fiction on this dude.
Looking like priest style, just going out, taking people out. I mean, it was really, really interesting.
Straight Pulp Fiction. The dude quoting Bible verses before he kills somebody. And I was like, that is Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. And quoted a verse and killed him. I was like, that's cold. That Father Gabriel, he might be the new Pad A on town. But moving on, man. Favorite moment number 6, and this is Maggie and Carol get captured. This goes back to what we felt like at the beginning where Carol just didn't have her head on straight. I think if you had cold-blooded Carol, that doesn't happen. First of all, I don't think she hesitates with Maggie. I think they just go in and handle business and don't get captured at all, or they sense these people coming. But at any rate, they get captured, and that must have been what Nate, like a compound, just a compound, like a outpost or something from the Saviors, because that obviously is not the Saviors' actual place. That was just like an outpost.
Right. The vibe I'm getting, the outpost or the main area for the governor's for Negan's people is called the Sanctuary. Okay, that's what he calls it, the Sanctuary.
Okay.
I'm not getting that vibe that this was the Sanctuary, that they did not just roll up into Negan's base of operations and take them down. I feel like this must have been like some type of, like you said, like an auxiliary post, where maybe some people stay, maybe they collect some of the stuff there. But this whole situation felt off from the beginning is because they went in, they were able to go in so quickly. I thought it was interesting once they then in turn made out. Where were these other people at? Where did they come from? They snuck up in there and they grabbed Carol and Maggie so easily. Like, it was like, obviously it wouldn't have taken much for a few people to be on the outside to say, hey, here's a few.
Well,
but
the alarms going off too might have alerted the people. Like, something's going down. So then they had when they heard the alarms.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, it felt like, hey, this was a good idea. Well, what we thought was going to happen, it didn't happen. It all went to crap. Then they were like, "Oh, I think it was good." I thought it was interesting because at the end there, you had Michonne say, "I wonder which one was Negan." Negan wasn't there.
Yeah.
Negan wasn't there.
I ain't gonna lie. For half a second, I thought he was gonna get introduced. For half a second, I thought we was gonna see something come flying through the screen and somebody's head get whacked. Just for like at one scene, I was like, "Yo, what if somebody just gets whacked upside the head all of a sudden?" Like I for a second, I was like, "That'd have been awesome." But anyway, those are our favorite moments for episode 12, guys. I'm sure we probably left out a lot. Let us know in the comment section below which were your favorite moments. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And until next time, guys, we're out.
See ya.